Huh? Welcome to Iwana!
Hello, Sparkies. Welcome to another lesson time. I've got Sparky here. Hi, guys. And he's going to help me tell just a little story. He's going to pretend that he's my kid, and I'm going to pretend that I'm his mom. He's not really my kid. We're just pretending. Sparky, I need you to pick up all the toys off the floor because we are going to have company coming later and I don't want them to step on your Legos. Got it? Okay. All right, so we're off to a good start, right? I gave some directions. Sparky said, okay. Now I'm going to leave the room. Sparky says, I have such a mess here. You know what? I think while I pick up my Legos, I'm going to watch a TV show because there's a new episode and it looks so good. So Sparky starts to pick up some Legos and he's watching his TV show. And then what happens is he sits down and he gets so involved with the TV show that he forgets to pick up the Legos. And then after one TV show is over, the next one just starts automatically and he forgets to pick up the Legos. And then mom comes in. Sparky, the Legos are still all over the floor. Sparky, what happened here? Well, I meant to do it. I just got distracted. It's the TV's fault. It's not my fault. Sparky, we've got company coming. Now I'm going to have to help you. Let's clean these up. Quick, quick, quick before the company comes. And you, young man, are not going to watch any TV for 2 days to pay for disobeying. Oh, Mom, that's not fair. Sparky, it is fair. You disobeyed, and now you have to have a consequence. Fine, I'm sorry. Poor Sparky. I hope he learns his lesson. And I hope they got all the Legos picked up before the company comes because nobody likes to step on Legos. So, what do you guys think? Was it fair that he had to not watch TV for 2 whole days just because of that one little thing? Tell the person next to you if you think it was fair or if you think it was not fair. I hope that you said it was fair. It's not fun to have a consequence, but it is important that we learn our lesson. And if Mama did not give him a consequence, he would probably just forget all about it and start watching TV the next time too, because that's how people are. We just don't learn unless we have a reason to learn. So, you guys probably know these two characters in the Bible named Cain and Abel. They are the children of Adam and Eve. So, Adam and Eve are the first man and the first woman, and Cain and Abel are their first two kids. There's a story about them in the Bible. Cain and Abel had jobs to do for their family. Abel took care of the sheep, and Cain took care of the crops. So we call Abel a shepherd. And what would we call Cain if he took care of the fields? He was a farmer. After a while, to show thanks to God, Cain and Abel made sacrifices. Now, this is something that God had taught his parents to do, and this is something that his parents, well, their parents had taught both of them to do also. Let's see. There's a couple of Bible verses I'm going to read you. It's Genesis chapter 4, verses 3 through 7. And it says, in the course of time, Cain brought to the Lord an offering of the fruit of the ground. And Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat portions. So Cain brought some fruits and vegetables that looked delicious, and Abel brought some sheep. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, but for Cain and his offering, he had no regard. So he didn't like Cain's offering. So Cain was very angry, and his face fell. The Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? And why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is contrary to you. You must rule over it." So Cain and Abel knew what they were supposed to do, and they knew what attitude they were supposed to have. They were supposed to obey God the first time, every time. And Abel did that when he brought his sheep, and he brought a good heart, but Cain did not. So it says here that when you sacrifice something, you are giving up something that is very valuable or important. Cain brought a sacrifice of the food that he grew, and Abel brought a sacrifice from his flock of lambs. Cain's sacrifice was not offered with the same attitude. So he had a bad heart when he did it, and he brought the wrong thing. He did not bring what God had told him to bring. God looked at Abel's sacrifice and was happy with it. He looked at Cain's sacrifice and was not happy. God spoke to Cain and asked him why he didn't do what he knew he should have done. God told him that if he would have made the right sacrifice, it would be accepted. Cain knew the right thing to do, but he did the wrong thing instead. Just like Sparky with his Legos, he knew what he was supposed to do. Now, Cain got angry. Instead of telling God he was sorry for what he had done, Cain stayed angry. And then he got mad at his brother Abel because God was pleased with Abel's sacrifice. Cain got so angry that he killed his brother Abel, which was a horrible thing to do. Okay, do you have brothers or sisters? If you don't have a brother or a sister, do you have cousins or friends that you care for really deeply? Do you ever get jealous because you think that they got something that you should have gotten or that you think that you deserved? Probably that happens. Sometimes life doesn't seem like it's fair. That's life. But sometimes life is fair and we get exactly what we've earned, whether it's good or bad. And if it's bad, even if we deserve it, even if we earned it, we get mad. So at the beginning of this lesson, Sparky here told me that he would clean up his mess, but he didn't. He was in charge of what he was doing, and he sat down and he watched TV instead. Was that unfair that he got a consequence of no TV for 2 days? Not really. He knew what his mother had told him to do. He just didn't do it. Mom knew that he needed to learn a lesson. Cain chose to disobey. He knew what kind of offering was pleasing to God, but he chose to bring something different with a bad attitude. When you bring your best to God, to your family, to your schoolwork, and to church, that is pleasing to God. Choosing to do what is right the first time, even though if it's not something you want to do, shows others that we love God. Do you have a favorite teacher or somebody at school or at church that you really care about? And if they tell you to do something, do you want to make them happy and you want to do it? Well, that's how we need to think about God. Just like a favorite teacher or like our parents, we want to please them. We should want to please and honor God, no matter what it takes. Even if we don't want to do what we know we need to do. So how do we know what we need to do? Tell your neighbor how we know what we need to do. How do we know what God wants us to do? Did you say finding out in the Bible? If you did, you're right. When we learn those Sparks verses, we are learning about what God wants us to do. As you read and memorize, you will know how God wants you to live. Just because you're a kid doesn't mean that you can't talk to God and pay attention to what he says to you in his word, the Bible. One thing that he tells us is to obey our parents. Cain and Abel were children of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve were the first sinners, and everyone born after them was and is and will be sinners. We can't help it. Even though we don't know exactly about Abel's sin, we do know that he was a sinner too. But we know that he loved God and wanted to do what was right. And Cain decided to give in to his sin and do what was wrong. You have that same choice every day. Do what is right, listen and obey the first time, or do what is wrong. Get distracted, or say no, or don't do your best. You have a choice. Will you choose to do what is right or to do what is wrong? I hope you choose to do what's right. Thanks, Sparks. I hope you guys have a good night and come back next week.